Hello and welcome to another story with Boo. It's raining today, so I've come into the woodland underneath the canopy of the trees, so hopefully I don't get so wet while I'm telling you this story. Today's story comes from Germany and it's called Old Mother Holle. There was once two sisters, and they were alike in almost every way. They were the same height, they were the same build, they had the same colour hair, the same colour eyes. But whereas one would smile, the other would scowl. And where one was kind and helpful, the other was rude and lazy. Now, you would think that the mother would love the one who was kind and helpful more, but in fact, her favourite was the one that was lazy and rude. I don't know why that would be. Perhaps it's because that is the daughter that was similar to her. And so it was the kind, helpful daughter was the one that had to do all the work. She did all of the cooking, she did all of the cleaning, she did all of the spinning, she did all of the weaving. Now on this particular day, the day when our story begins, she was out sitting by the well with her drop spindle, spinning away, spinning away, spinning away. And she was working so hard and spinning for so long that even her hands started to bleed. And the blood got onto the spindle and made the spindle slippery, and so she couldn't do her work properly. So she took the spindle to the well to wash it in the water. But unfortunately, where her hands were so slippery, the spindle slipped out of her hands and dropped into the well and sunk down and down. The poor daughter just did not know what to do. She knew if she went home, her mother would be furious with her. She thought long and hard and then decided she had no option but to jump into the well after her spindle to try and retrieve it. So that's what she did. She jumped into the well, and the next thing she knew, she woke up in a beautiful meadow. A meadow where the sun was shining. A meadow where it was full of beautiful flowers. So she got up and she started walking along a little path. And as she walked along the path, she walked past an apple tree. And the apple tree said, "Oh, shake me, please shake me. My boughs are so heavy with apples, please shake me." "Okay," said the kind daughter. So she got the tree and gave it a shake, and all the ripe apples fell to the floor. The daughter picked them up, made lovely piles, took one for herself and carried on her way. She hadn't gone far when she saw a cow in a field with a big, huge udder. "Oh, please milk me, mooed the cow. "Please milk me, my udder is so full and heavy." "Oh, okay," said the kind daughter, and she went over and she milked the cow into a pail, took a glass of milk for herself and left the rest there. And then she carried on her way. And again she hadn't gone very far when she walked past an oven, and the oven called out to her, "Oh, open me, please open me. The bread is done, please open me." "All right," said the kind daughter. So she opened the oven door and took out all of the bread rolls and placed them very carefully on the side and took one for herself. And she carried on her way. And up ahead she saw a little cottage, and standing outside the cottage was a large, fearsome-looking woman. She was so strange to look at. The kind daughter was a little bit scared, but she knew her manners and knew it was rude to run away. "Good morrow to you, Granny," she said. And hello to you, said the old woman, and she spoke in a gentle and kind voice. Come, why don't you come inside my house? If you look after my house for me, I will look after you. I'm old Mother Hoyle, she said. And so the kind daughter, with not much else to do, decided to do that. And so she went into the house of old Mother Hoyle. And old Mother Hoyle showed her how to clean the house and how to plump up the duvet on her bed to give it a really, really good shake so the feathers would fly, so snow would fall into the land below. And the kind daughter did as she was asked. The next day she worked really hard, and indeed she did plump up the bedding good and hard, and so the feathers went flying like snowflakes through the air. And she did that the following day, and the day after, and the day after that, and for a whole handful of days. She worked very hard, and never once did she grumble. And old Mother Hoyle saw how well she worked. But there came a day when the kind daughter, even though she was much better off where she was with old Mother Hoyle, she grew homesick. She even missed her horrible old sister. She certainly missed her father, and she sort of missed her mother too. So she went to old Mother Hoyle and said, "You've been very kind to me, but please, I would like to go home now. I'm starting to feel homesick." "Of course you are," said old Mother Hoyle, and handed her her spindle, and led her to a door at the back of the cottage that the kind daughter had never noticed before. And old Mother Hoyle opened the door and said, "Just walk on through the door and you will be back home before you can blink your eyes." And as the kind daughter crossed the threshold, there was suddenly a shower of gold coins that filled her pockets and filled her shoes and even got caught in the braids in her hair. And when she got home, she was greeted warmly, for indeed even the mother saw her pockets bulging with gold, and that pleased her greatly. In fact, when the kind daughter had told her everything that had happened, the mother thought, "I would like this for my lazy daughter." And so she told her daughter to go to the well and sit there with her spindle, and to do as the kind daughter had done. So the lazy daughter went to the well. She didn't do any spinning though, so she just pricked her finger with a thorn so there was a bit of blood, and pretended to wash her hands, and pretended, "Oh dearie me, my spindle's fallen into the well." And without a second thought she dived in after it. And just as happened with her kind sister, she too arrived in a field full of beautiful flowers. This, of course, was no surprise to her, because this is what she was expecting. She walked down the road, and as she walked past the apple tree said, "Oh, please, shake me, shake me. My boughs are so full and heavy with ripe apples." "Why should I bother shaking you?" said the lazy daughter. "Why, I don't eat such common fruit as apples. I eat oranges," she said, and walked on her way. She came to the field where the cow was grazing. "Oh, please milk me," said the cow. "And why should I do that?" said the lazy daughter. "I don't drink milk. I just drink fine orange juice." And she carried on her way. She walked past the oven, and the oven said, "Oh, please open me, open me." "Open you and get myself all hot and sweaty?" "I don't think so," said the lazy daughter. "Anyway, I don't eat bread, I only eat cake," she said, and carried on her way until she came to the old Mother Hoyle's cottage, where indeed her sister was right. She was fearsome to look at. But she wasn't scared at all because she'd been expecting it. And when old Mother Hoyle invited her into her cottage to look after the house for her, the lazy daughter agreed at once. But the following day, when it came to look after the house, and it came to puffing up old Mother Hoyle's bedding, the lazy daughter did a fairly good job. A few feathers flew through the air like snowflakes. But the next day, it just seemed a little bit like a lot of effort. She kind of did it a bit half-heartedly. And just the odd one or two feathers flew out of the duvet. On the third day, she couldn't be bothered at all, so she didn't do it. And the house wasn't kept very well. There was dust on the shelves and dust on the floor. Mother Hoyle noticed, but she didn't say anything. The following day, the lazy daughter again did nothing. Again, old Mother Hoyle said nothing either. But on the third day, when again the lazy daughter did no work at all, older Mother Hoyle had had enough. "I think it's probably time you went home," she said. The lazy daughter was delighted. Great, she thought, now I'll get the spindle and I'll get all of that gold. Fantastic. Old Mother Hoyle gave her back her spindle and led her to the door at the back of the cottage that the lazy daughter hadn't noticed before. And old Mother Hoyle opened the door and told her that when she stepped over the threshold, she would be back at home within the blink of an eye. But this time, when the lazy daughter crossed the threshold, she was not showered with gold. She was showered with green, slimy cow dung that filled her pockets and ran down her face and got clogged all in her hair and filled her shoes. And when she got home, well, she wasn't greeted very well because she stank. The smell was awful. And it didn't matter how hard they scrubbed her. It didn't matter how many baths she had. It didn't matter how much perfume she used. They couldn't get rid of the smell. And she smelt kind of cow poo for the rest of her days. And that is the end of that story. And Boo stayed with me today for the whole story. Did you notice that? It must be good to tell a story in the rain because she wants to stay warm next to me. See you next week. Bye-bye.